So you've been desiring to travel. You want to go out, you want to travel, you want to see the world, but your finances are limiting you as you plan to be able to do that. So what can you be able to do to cut down your expenses as you travel? So the first thing that you can be able to do, which is free of charge, and which you can be able to do it from the comfort of your house. As long as you have internet connection in your house, then you can be able to do it. You can be able to travel virtually. You can be able to go on Google Earth and travel and see the places that you need to go. You can be able to walk and pace yourself as you walk in those mountains and in those streets and be able to see. When you are unable to travel because of finances or corona or whatnot, Google Earth is always available, and many other programs could be able to help you, place you where you can be able to see the streets and the places and travel virtually. So that is the first thing that you can be able to do. However, that is not the only thing. The other thing that you can be able to do is take weekend getaways. Ladies and gentlemen, you can be able to go somewhere near your vicinity, not very far, in a place where you can be able to enjoy some basic amenities, in some furnished apartments with swimming pools and gyms, and places you can be able to enjoy spas and things like this. Some of these things are not as expensive as you would think. You will not need to book flights, you will not need to travel expensively, and you'll be able to enjoy some of these amenities in your local region. So try to identify these opportunities, and remember, there's always a deal around you that is waiting to happen. So go out, check, verify, and you'll be able to get something that could be able to help you for a weekend, a weekday, or a short period of time that you could be able to enjoy without breaking the bank. Then the other thing that you need to identify is Airbnbs. Airbnbs are a cheap way of traveling. You can be able to travel to a destination, a holiday destination, near a beach or near a national park or near some place of interest without having to break the bank. This is because Airbnbs are usually priced below the market value for hotels and equivalent accommodations. So explore having to be able to go for Airbnb and look for one that is actually priced below par. If you do not mind staying together with the host or the host's family, it is even cheaper for you. As long as you are a fairly decent person, there should be no problem. And as long as the host is of a reasonably good character, there should be no conflict or issues. So the other thing that is related to staying in people's homes is couch surfing. You can be able to couch surf. Go to couchsurfing.com. You could be able to couch surf and live in somebody's couch or spare bedroom at a free cost. This is especially popular in Europe and America and other places. You could be able to live with someone and live in somebody's couch for a short period of time as you explore the region and explore the area. The only thing that you need to do is also avail your place for another traveler to be able to stay at your place. So that is the kicker. You live in somebody's place or couch or bed, but you also have to avail yours so that somebody else can be able to stay at your place. The other cheap accommodation facility that you can be able to explore is local hostel or youth hostels. If you do not mind staying in a room with 10 other people, please ignore if it is during corona times. But if you can be able to stay in a place that you can be able to share a room with 8 other people or 4 other people or whatever number of people in a dormitory-like situation, and you do not mind because you are there to just sleep and you can be able to enjoy the local scenery and other things, please go and book your local hostel. They are usually as cheap, very cheap, and you could be able to enjoy these things. Of course, the flip side is sometimes it might not be as secure. You cannot be able to control the people that you are staying with. Some could be drunk, some could be disorderly, and you cannot be able to do it. Some could be noisy, among other things. Your items may not be as safe inside the dorm area or the dorm room. You might share bathrooms with men and women and all these things. They might not be as clean because they usually get dirty very fast because of the traffic, the foot traffic in that place. But by and large, they are usually cheaper, especially for the expensive cities in Europe and other places that are usually much more expensive. So those are accommodation options. Then the other thing that you need to do, if you're going somewhere, you could consider camping. There was a time that we went for a camping, an accommodation facility that allowed someone to be able to camp on the beach. And we had traveled with my spouse to that place, and it was extremely cheap. It was reasonably comfortable, and it was extremely cheap. So ladies and gentlemen, look for camping places. You can be able to camp near a place of interest, either the beach or a national park or such other thing. So these are things that you could be able to explore and be able to enjoy yourself. So camping is a good option, either by bringing your own camping equipment or by staying in their camping equipment. By all in all, it is still the most cheap way of enjoying the local scenery, especially if it is beautiful scenery and places of interest. Then the other thing that you need to do is time your travels. Time your travels to coincide with the time that children are in school. Remember, families are usually tired from traveling too much when children are in session or when schools are open. So travel when schools are open and when it is not summertime, because usually that is the time most people actually travel. So time your periods in such a way that you'll be able to avoid the crowds. When you avoid the crowds, you also avoid the bills. You also get reasonably good rooms, reasonably nice places, reasonably priced places. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the easiest way you can be able to do it. Once we traveled with my wife in January at the coast, and we were the only people staying in these local hotels. In fact, for the first day we were alone. Then the second day there were 2 other people. It is the cheapest way that you can be able to travel around, especially when you time it right. So time it right and you'll be able to enjoy a cheap holiday. Then the thing that you need to note, if you are traveling in Europe, travel like an African. If you are traveling in Africa, travel like an European. What do I mean? If you are coming to Europe, book your flight the last possible minute, like an African who is spontaneous, because flights are usually extremely cheap at the last moment. In fact, do not have an executive plan of where you're going. Just go to these planes, especially the low-cost flights like Ryanair, EasyJet, and others, and look for the cheapest flight at that available time. As long as you are flexible, you could be able to book a flight between countries for as low as 20 euros. Yes, as low as 20 euros, because they at least want to recover some of their variable cost, and at least they have somebody who is sitting in that seat that would otherwise be empty. So travel in Europe like an African, the last possible minute, spontaneous, without knowing where exactly you are going, and you'll be able to go very cheaply. This goes for the same for hotels and Airbnbs and such things, because they also do the same type of pricing. The last possible minutes to an accommodation are the cheapest, because at least they want somebody to fill the space. As long as somebody has filled the space, then they can be able to meet some of their variable costs, such as electricity and water and things like that, and they are extremely cheap. Travel in Europe like an African. And if you're traveling in Africa, travel like an European, because most Africans, me included, we travel the last possible minute. We make plans the last possible minute, and we go out the last possible time. So book in advance. So if you're traveling to a country in Africa, book in advance, because the flights are extremely cheap when you go 2 months, 3 months ahead of time. Even as far as 6 months ahead of time, the price might actually be half the cost a month to time. So travel like an European in Africa. Book in advance. The only thing that may not fall into this category is things like Airbnbs that are not price elastic. But otherwise, for flights and things like that, book like an European, even 6 months ahead of time, and you will be able to enjoy this wonderful rates. So what is the other thing that you can be able to do? If you are traveling in Europe, a group of friends, or say 4 or so, and you are traveling for a longer period of time, say 2 months or so, it is the cheapest way you can be able to travel as a group for 2 months or 3 months is to buy a car. Cars are extremely cheap in Europe, especially if you will either give away your car or you do not mind selling it at an even extremely cheaper price. Cars go as low as 500 euros, as high as especially for 12-year-olds, 15-year-old cars, for as high as 2,000 euros. You can be able to buy this car and split the bill, and your driving license would be allow you to be able to travel and live for at least 6 months in most countries. So find out where the cheapest cars are, and remember, because these cars are checked every 2 years as a legal thing, they usually meet the basic criteria. They will move and you'll be able to enjoy it reasonably well, especially, and remember to pick a car that still has some periods of time that you can be able to enjoy before the approval or the need to be able to do a new evaluation of roadworthiness is done. So if you have a period of 1 year and you're only traveling for 2 months, then you are way safe to be able to do that. It is the cheapest way you can be able to travel, especially if you're going to camp and you have camping equipment and can be able to stay somewhere and enjoy. Remember, some of these places are cheap and easily accessible to camp. Ladies and gentlemen, especially in some Norwegian countries, you can be able to even stay in a private forest as long as you do not stay for more than a day. So if you're traveling through Europe, buy a car, camp and go, and you could be able to cut down your expenses if you're traveling as a group of friends. The other thing that you need to do, you can be able to do and travel cheap. If you desire to be able to see houses, you can also wear a suit. Yes, wear a suit and go and check out those expensive, fancy places around. Just walk around and go and check those furnished apartments and you'll be able to travel. It's a cheap way of traveling. Of course, the person who is selling you the house or the person who is renting the house might not want you to do that. But it is also a cheap way of traveling in these places and seeing. It could at least cut down on your monotony without breaking your bound. You do not have to commit to take a place, but you could be able to just walk around and see. Ladies and gentlemen, it is also the easiest way to be able to experience a car. If you desire to be able to see a certain car, maybe a Prado or whatnot, or a Mercedes or whatnot, you could be able to go to a showroom with your suit, as long as you look decent. Remember, these places have the right of admission. So if you look like a person who is wasting their time, you will not enter. But if you look like a reasonable person, you'll be able to enter and enjoy yourself and see without committing financially. Cheap to be able to experience and travel a bit and see other places. Of course, the other thing that is in connection with that, the other cheap way of doing it is just taking a drive. Just take your car or borrow a car and just drive. Driving is the easiest way that you can be able to see the scenery and enjoy. You could be able to do scheduled stops in interesting places and have snacks that are cheap and are available. You could also be able to stay in places that are far from any towns or other places at a cheap price. Even when you look at, say, Airbnb, and you're able to see the houses that are there, the houses that are far away from a major town or a major place of interest are usually a lot cheaper. Farm stays, for example, where you stay in a farm, you will be able to enjoy very cheap prices, and you'll be able to see horses, you'll be able to see cows, you'll be able to see chicken, you'll be able to enjoy local milk, you'll be able to enjoy local eggs, and it is usually cheap. You could also be able to enjoy the local culture. You could also plan. The other thing that you could be able to do as regards to this is be able to plan for local traditional escapades where you are taken around villages. You are able to get a tour guide who is going to help you learn the culture and things like that. These are things that you can be able to book through Airbnb experiences and things like that, and be able to travel cheaply. So I hope that you are learning. I hope that you are growing and you are going to travel cheaply and effectively. So if you like this channel, remember to subscribe to the channel, to leave a comment down below, and to like this video, because it is always a pleasure having you around. Thank you and enjoy your day.